Alright everyone, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin versus the altcoins. And I have just made a video going into depth on the Bitcoin market cap dominance and why I think this is one of the main reasons why I think altcoins are going to perform poorly against Bitcoin. I'm not really going to focus on this at all during this video. I'm going to go through some other charts and look at some altcoin Bitcoin pairs. If you do want my full in-depth thoughts of the market cap dominance on Bitcoin right now, because this is very important what we're seeing. I think we're gearing up for a move to the upside. I think altcoins are soon to get slaughtered. Let's jump into some other charts that we've got at this moment in time. So Bitcoin is in a huge falling wedge right now. If we actually zoom in, you can see we're actually in a bear flag within this wedge, and come over to the lower time frames. You can see earlier on today we did once again get rejected from the top of the bearish flag. Now this doesn't mean that we can't break out. This doesn't mean that we can't come all the way up to 34,000, because in some of my charts I am actually accounting for the possibility of Bitcoin coming up to 34,000. This chart specifically, which I'll show you before we move on any further. So if we look at this chart, you can notice that we are trading between these two trend lines at this moment in time. We're sitting between some huge support and resistance. I do not think it would be outlandish whatsoever for Bitcoin to come up to 34,000. Potentially, even if we do this in the next week or two, we could come up to 37, 38,000 before coming back down to some lower levels. And why do I think this is possible? Well, mainly because what have we done before? Well, we've had a huge dump. You can see we broke down from this triangle, came down, put in our first bottom. We had a huge rally, and then we came back and back tested and made a double bottom. And you zoom out, you see the market structures. They don't look exactly the same, but they are always pretty much the same. You could argue this was like a falling wedge breakdown. We had that first macro bottom, we had that run up, you put in that double bottom, and you were off to the races. We've done it time and time again. I can't say any more times because that is how many times that we've done it, but as you can see, based off what we've previously done, it would not be, well, personally we haven't actually done this before, because in this line here, depending on how you want to draw it, you can actually draw a trend line somewhere around about here, I guess, but I wouldn't consider it to have too much weight. Previously we massively capitulated below this and we didn't bounce back, but it doesn't have to play out the exact same. We can still come up, bounce, and come back down, so that is something to keep of importance. But Bitcoin is very choppy at this moment in time. We're in this big bear flag, and I do think the breakdown is unfortunately more likely than the breakup. If we come over to the total too, this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. So this is basically just the market cap of all of the altcoins collectively. What you'll notice right now is we are sitting at 690 billion for the altcoin market cap. And if we zoom out, you can see we have been capitulating very hard on this for quite some period of time right now. We've only recently just lost your 618 Fibonacci. And if we zoom in, coming back into the daily time frame, you can see for the past couple of days we've been rattling our head against this 618 Fibonacci, and it does kind of seem like we are moving back down on this scale. So while we're below this 618, I have to assume lower price targets are in play. We even came down to, I believe this was your 200 EMA. Yes, it was the EMA 200 EMA. We came down, kind of bounced on it, came back up, got rejected off the 618, and now I think the move down is more likely. The volume is very indicative of this as well. The altcoin market cap is just not looking too good right now. You can see we always move in waves. We move in bullish waves, bearish waves, bullish waves, bearish waves, but sometimes we have an extra bearish wave where we have a bearish wave, we cool off, and as you can see, we're picking up momentum once again for another bearish phase. And this is what we're seeing with this light red stepping in the market. In my opinion, this is indicative that we have further to roll down. The exponential volume at this moment in time also is indicative that we might be rolling down. You might be looking at this and thinking, well, we're not actually seeing that amount, that much volume coming in this week. Well, last week we had 1.4 trillion worth of volume. This week we've got 916 billion. So we only have about another 490, about 500 actually, basically 500. We've got about another 500 billion to make this rival the previous candles. And what's interesting about this is we're only on Thursday, and you know, this is at 900 billion right now, so this could definitely get a lot higher. There's a lot of charts which are indicative to me that altcoins are still going to be moving down against their Bitcoin pairs, and I'm going to quickly talk about this. Like I said, I made a full in-depth video of it, so if you have already watched this video, just skip through the next 30 seconds or so. If you haven't watched my full video on the market cap dominance, I definitely recommend it. We'll go into this in a lot more depth, but previously, you zoom out and you can see this breakdown on the Bitcoin dominance when Bitcoin was losing a lot of its market cap against the altcoins was when we were in a bull run. So breaking down into this phase, we were in a bull run. This is when a lot of open interest moved over into altcoins. People moved into shitcoins, meme coins, dog coins, privacy coins, and of course XRP. So what are we seeing, or what have we previously been seeing in this bull run? Well, once again, the Bitcoin dominance topped and we rolled back down, and we've been in this bearish phase on the Bitcoin dominance ever since. And because of this, these two lines to the downside signify when the bull market starts. And when the bull market starts, the Bitcoin dominance comes down because interest in altcoins goes up. People buy more altcoins. The percent of the market cap has more altcoins in it than Bitcoin in it. But what happens when the switch flips? As you can see, this was the 2018 bear market. This is the bear market we're experiencing right now. And every time so far, we've had that ping back to the upside where Bitcoin once again proves itself to be king. Now, during this phase, bear in mind, we are in a bear market. So Bitcoin, the altcoins, everything's losing against the US dollar. However, Bitcoin is outperforming every single altcoin pair. I think the only altcoin pair, at least that I knew about back in 2018, was Chainlink. I was huge into Chainlink, and then I left Chainlink because there were other altcoins that were hyped, and then I left those altcoins because there were other altcoins that were hyped, and this is how the cycle of altcoins perpetuates itself. I mean, people move on very quickly from altcoins. People don't move on quickly from Bitcoin, at least the people who read the white paper, read the Bitcoin standard, and understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. A lot of people think, oh, Bitcoin's slow, XRP moves fast, that means XRP is the king of all crypto, and people say stupid things like that. A lot of people don't understand that the intrinsic value is a lot more important than how fast you can send a cryptocurrency. But like I said, I'd only spend a minute on this. When you are running back to the upside, this means the percent of the market cap that is Bitcoin is a lot greater, and because of that, altcoins get slaughtered against Bitcoin. If we look at what's going on at this moment in time, Bitcoin dominance is breaking out. It looks super bullish at this moment in time. If we break out, because we're currently in this W pattern, if I outline it here, you can see we're in a lovely W pattern. The price target of this is all the way up here at 47.5%. If we reach all the way up there, we would have a confirmed breakout of the weekly EMA ribbons. When was the last time that we had this? Well, this was when we were entering into a confirmed bear market, and because of that confirmed bear market, altcoins continued to get slaughtered against Bitcoin as the percent of the market cap that is incorporated in only Bitcoin increased. So in theory, if the Bitcoin dominance moves to 100, like I said, complete hypothetical, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, that means the altcoins, every altcoin goes to zero. Because if the total crypto market cap is made out of only Bitcoin and it's 100%, that must mean there's no money in the other altcoins. So you can imagine if this moves up to 60%, 65, 70%, there's not going to be a lot of money in altcoins, especially if people are leaving the market and taking, you know, their money out of the markets during this period of time. People are going to be leaving, altcoins are going to get decimated, Bitcoin's going to be king, and that is why I think Bitcoin is going to be outperforming the altcoins very soon. Let's wrap up this video with a few other charts. I want to talk about the dollar just very briefly, and then we're going to move on to some BTC pairs. The dollar could be at this stage where we potentially could be getting topped out. I really don't think we should bite the bullet on this one. It seems like we are very bullish on the weekly time frame. We've had a huge rejection, but it's not what you want from like a blow off top where we've previously seen over here. So we are coming into a huge level of support slash resistance right now for the dollar. I think it's very important that we kind of hedge our bets into Bitcoin. At least that's my trading plan, while the dollar is doing very well, because if the dollar keeps on going up, money is going to bleed out the crypto markets. From the previous charts we've looked at the Bitcoin dominance. Money is bleeding out of the markets, but the Bitcoin dominance is going up, meaning altcoins are doing a lot worse than Bitcoin. So I would not, you know, bet against the Fed. By betting against the dollar, you're betting against the Fed. At this moment in time, the Federal Reserve is increasing the interest rates, meaning the cost of borrowing dollars is increasing. This is making the US dollar index strength go up, and I don't think it's a good time to be buying altcoins for that reason. But let's look at some popular BTC pairs on some of these altcoins, or more importantly, or more correctly should I say, let's look at the BTC altcoin pairs for some of these altcoins. Let's start off, or the altcoin BTC pair. Did I say it wrong that many times? Let's jump right into this. So you can see Solana against Bitcoin. We are clearly pretty bearish right now. I'm going to hide these EMA ribbons just to make it a little bit more concise. Hide this as well. But you can see, you know, we're clearly moving below the 618 at this moment in time. Solana against Bitcoin is heavily capitulating at this moment. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row where Solana's been getting slaughtered against Bitcoin. This simply means that let's say you sold your Solana for Bitcoin last week, which is something that I actually did. At this moment in time, you know, you're getting a 22% discount, and if Solana BTC keeps on moving down, you know, to these kind of levels, you could see we might be getting a 50% discount. I think we have further to move down. I think we're at least coming back down to these 786s, but more importantly, I think around about this level where one Solana is, I believe that's 1,000 Solana would equals 1 Bitcoin at that moment in time. You can see if we move by 10, so if I times it by 10 it'd be 1%, times it by another 10 it'd be 10%, times it by another 10 it would be 1 Bitcoin. So yes, it would be at this moment in time, if we did move down another 37%, 1 Bitcoin would equals 1,000 Solana. That is very interesting to note. Solana against BTC clearly getting slaughtered right now. Tons of volume coming in, or not a ton, but selling volume is predominantly here. Bears are in control of the market. Seems pretty black and white. Let's move on to a few other pairs before we wrap up the video. Axie Infinity. I'm going to be quick firing these altcoin pairs because I really just want to get the point across. I'm not going to be doing like TA on them or anything, but once again, very black and white. Axie Infinity breaking down against Bitcoin, capitulated below the 786, and you know, I mean, we just have to look at this. It's a sea of red. Let's move on. Gala, BTC. This is nasty. I mean, I wouldn't even had to say anything if I just opened this chart. It's very black and white. In all of these, we're in huge downtrends against Bitcoin. Apecoin's a little bit of a tricky one, because Apecoin's actually only been like, for example, a lot of these altcoins have been capitulating against Bitcoin for a long period of time, but Apecoin is still fairly recent to the market, so we have something like a market outlier here, but nonetheless, at least at this moment in time, it does seem like it is bearish to me. We have this accumulation range. This is where the most data has been traded, and within this accumulation range, somewhere around about here would be your heart line. You can see we are kind of, I don't want to say Ming out because we don't have the second part of the M. I normally call these bunny hills, where you kind of run up, you lose momentum, and you curve back down. It's normally always a telltale sign that you are about to roll down, even if it's just a little bit further back down. These bunny hills, depending on how small or big they are, have profound impacts on the market, and this seems like a pretty big hill, and I think we could be moving to the downside of this. Like I've been saying, I think most altcoins are going to get slaughtered against Bitcoin. Apecoin is holding up pretty well right now. I think it had a lot of hype with the land sale, but since then it has been kind of moving down against Bitcoin. So I do think Apecoin is bearish against Bitcoin. I think we covered Axie, did we not? Let me just draw a trend line on this. So once again, bearish against Bitcoin. Engine Crane massively capitulating, already down at your 786 Fibonacci. Once again, huge trend line capitulating against Bitcoin. We've already drawn it on here. Cadena against Bitcoin capitulating already below your 786, coming down to where was this green line? Maybe it's something on the daily. Okay, so I must have drawn this, and if this is the candle body close, let me make sure I've got it. So this is the candle body close. No, the 786 isn't there. I think I must have meant to draw this from here, or perhaps I drew it a different way before, but nonetheless we'll just run that, we'll keep it like this. But you can see Cadena is clearly very bearish against Bitcoin. We're still in a downtrend. I'm still looking for levels that I can buy Cadena, but it's very obvious. Everything's in a downtrend. Dogecoin, very lovely descending channel that we're in right now, coming down to the 786 against the BTC pair. Crypto.com against Bitcoin. This is probably one of the ugliest charts I've ever seen in my life. How would you even begin to do analysis on this? We just have straight lines up, straight lines down, straight lines up, straight lines down. We don't even really have any trend lines that define this apart from these 3 lines on the screen. But as you can see, you know, all I really can say about this is, you know, you've clearly got a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and the downtrend, even if you don't want to draw it from the wicks, even if you want to draw it from these peaks, the peaks are lower. It is a double top. We are moving in this direction once again. So I think Crypto.com has further to capitulate against its BTC pair. JASMY, I don't even need to draw a trend line here. This is just like a rock falling off a cliff. That is not a very nice nice chart on the eye. It's not like eye candy or anything. Once again, I'm not even going to find the wick on this. It's very, very clear. All of these cryptos, every single one, even if you wanted to draw it from these candle bodies, they are putting in lower highs against the BTC pair. So I think that's everything. GMT, once again, this is one of these new coins that came out, a lot of hype for it, but now it is capitulating against Bitcoin. NEAR is capitulating against Bitcoin very heavily. We're breaking below the floor of this M pattern. KNC also capitulating against Bitcoin on the daily time frame. You can see we are in a bear flag. So all of these cryptos are bearish against Bitcoin. That's at least my take on things. I think there's a lot of charts that are kind of spilling that we are in very uncertain times, but I'm not going to be jumping the gun deciding to buy altcoin dips until I'm very, very certain that, you know, that we do see some kind of different sentiment on these charts. I think the number one thing to take away from this is the Bitcoin dominance, even though I did make a separate video on this because I thought it was very important. This chart, I mean, while we're moving up, I would not be banking on altcoins. So hope you found some value in this content. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.